You guys are super ambitious, and I had to find something that would help sell it. And I think the turnaround time was that, because in Columbus, it was 2 years if you wanted a liner pool.
Yeah.
Fiberglass, it was like 16 weeks. So we really had to run with that. We could get you swimming this summer. You wouldn't have to wait. And while it is more expensive up front, if you're replacing liners every year, it's going to add up.
And I don't know, I mean, I don't want to get into the specifics of what the chemicals cost, but I do know that there's a savings of the chemical cost too, because you don't have all the nooks and crannies like in a vinyl liner, like around stairs and everything, where algae can actually grow and multiply. And so your chemical costs end up being much, much cheaper with a fiberglass pool as well. So I think the cost of ownership probably over the course of, 4 to 5 years or one liner replacement, you're going to be really close to what you would have been in a fiberglass. It's like going to Sam's and buying in bulk. You buy 40 things of toilet paper. It's expensive on the front end, but you're paying, $1 a roll versus $1.75 and only getting 5 rolls, and you're still going to buy 40 rolls eventually, so I think it's kind of like, it's one of those things that will pay for itself over time for sure.
It definitely makes sense, but it's harder to sell because it's like, here, spend $70,000 now, opposed to like $30,000 for a liner. People aren't seeing it.
Yeah. And on top of that is like our $70,000 again includes all the finish work.
It's turnkey.
So, I mean, I can't tell you, and the reason kind of why we wanted to get into it is we were doing a lot of work, not for pool companies, but for homeowners that had hired pool companies in the area, and they put in the pool and then poured their concrete around the outside edges or did their pavers or whatever. Sometimes not even that we would come in and do the pavers around it. So they would just have a hole in the ground. But it was not turnkey. It was the pool, some concrete or whatever was around the rest of it, and the rest of their yard was destroyed. All the irrigation that might have been existing, if it was an existing house and not a new construction, was gone through, completely ripped out of the ground. You'd have PVC pipe flying up in the air, no landscaping, no sod. If they did anything, they would put seed and like hay down, straw down, and maybe some hay mats or something like that. So I would go over these houses, $1 million houses, and their backyard just looks like a wreck. And they're like, we just spent $40,000 on this pool, and now we got to spend another, $40,000 in landscaping to get it up and going. And I'm like, yeah, probably, but you would have only had to spend 30 if we would have planned this out, so that way I knew where the irrigation was and I knew all this stuff. Now we got to go in and diagnose all these things, or basically start from scratch on a lot of stuff. And then you're working around septic systems, you're working around all the other stuff that maybe could have been planned better, that you didn't have to work around based on, if you knew where the pool was, you could have ran sleeving for certain things and stuff like that. And a lot of times they don't realize that they need retaining walls afterwards. They have a slope, they have their pool, and they have a slope coming off the back of their pool. And, it starts eroding, and they get scared. They're like, oh my God, what's going to happen to my pool? Is it going to fall off the side of this hill? So you need a retaining wall. A retaining wall can cost $20,000, $30,000 like that. So knowing that stuff on the front end, you can start planning. That's the beauty, I think, of why I was so excited about getting into it, and Brad as well, is we knew that we could help save money and then offer a product that's never been offered, which is a complete plan, and not just, hey, this is where we want our pool and put it here and do 8 foot of concrete all the way around. It was, we can actually design this thing from the ground up, and we can engineer it in a way that can save you money, and aesthetically we can make it look better.